Hey, have you ever wondered what really happens when the ultimate symbol of power becomes too heavy to bear? Imagine this, a king who waited 7 decades for the crown, secretly deciding to give it away, only to face the ultimate betrayal from the person closest to him. Stick around till the end because what I'm about to share will completely change how you think about royal duty and family loyalty. So, don't go anywhere, you're about to discover something awesome, but first, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe because we've got tons of fun coming your way. Let's dive right in.
Yeah, let's get right into it because when you look at the raw timeline of what happened behind those palace doors, it's it's truly a masterclass in shifting power dynamics.
Right, and that is exactly our mission in this deep dive. We are unpacking the real, unvarnished story behind King Charles III's decision to abdicate the throne to Prince William and Princess Catherine.
Which, it's just fascinating because we're exploring this hidden timeline of secret meetings, shifting allegiances, and, well, a profound personal betrayal that literally changed British history.
Exactly. And to set the stage here, we need to remember that Charles ascended at 73. I mean, he was the oldest in British history to do so, following Queen Elizabeth's passing back on September 8th, 2022.
Right, and then he had his coronation in May 2023. But the real turning point, the thing that changed the undeniable arithmetic of his mortality, was his cancer diagnosis in early 2024.
Yeah, that diagnosis really forced the issue, didn't it?
It did, because suddenly this hypothetical transition wasn't so hypothetical anymore.
You know, I've been thinking about this using sort of a corporate analogy. Like, if you look at the monarchy as this massive, ancient legacy corporation.
Well, that's a good way to look at it.
Right, because their old divisions were just failing. You had Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, all those scandals, and obviously Prince Andrew acting as a huge liability.
Yeah, the core brand was definitely struggling.
But then you look at their new R&D department, essentially William and Catherine, and they were thriving, especially, after Catherine's own cancer recovery and William really gaining confidence on the world stage.
Exactly. The contrast was stark. So logically, Charles knows he has power over to the thriving division, and that takes us directly into the private rooms of Buckingham Palace for this first secret meeting.
Oh, wow, yeah. Pick that picture for us.
Well, picture the crystal chandeliers, the heavy royal portraits looking down, and just this profound, heavy silence in the room.
I can only imagine the tension.
Oh, it was thick. Charles formally declares his intention to step down and just transfer power entirely to the younger generation.
Okay, let's unpack this, because, why wouldn't the room just accept the king's word? Isn't his authority, absolute?
You would think so, right? In theory, yes. But then comes this massive disruption. Queen Camilla stands up.
Wait, she stands up in the middle of this?
Yeah, she stands up, and there's this sharp scrape of her chair that just shatters the silence. And she openly argues against it. She says William is too young, that the timing is premature.
That is bold. But was it really about William being too young?
Well, if you look at her body language account, say she was gripping her handbag so tightly, and there was a literal tremor at her mouth, it betrayed her real fear.
Right, because her entire identity, her hard-won legitimacy, was totally built on being the power beside Charles.
Exactly. Her power was entirely derivative. Transferring power to William would effectively dismantle her life's work. She would lose all of her standing.
So what happens in the room after she says this? That must have caused an immediate fracture.
It did. But this is where William steps in. And he does it so decisively. He doesn't argue. He just adjourns the meeting to let everyone reflect.
Wow. Just shuts it down.
Yeah, he sends this undeniable message of his own emerging authority.
That is intense. Which brings us to the private reckoning, right? The betrayal.
Yes. So the narrative follows Charles back into his private study. It's this room filled with the scent of sandalwood and old paper. And Camilla follows him in there, and she is desperate.
She knows she's losing her grip on the situation.
Completely. And so she makes this catastrophic misjudgment. To force Charles to back down, she weaponizes his deepest childhood trauma.
Oh, you're talking about Gordonstone.
Exactly, his time at Gordonstone boarding school. Charles considered that place a private hell. I mean, he faced terrible bullying and loneliness there.
And he had confided in her about all of this.
He had. And in that study, she implies that she might expose these deeply guarded secrets to the public if he goes through with the abdication.
Imagine trusting someone with your darkest hours, only to have them use as a bargaining chip when their own power is threatened. That is just brutal.
It is. But here's the fascinating part. Instead of breaking Charles, this threat actually rebuilt him.
Really? How so?
The vulnerability just vanishes. He realizes in that moment that Camilla isn't his refuge anymore. She's a captor.
Oh, wow. And the cage just swings open.
Exactly. He just simply turns to his desk, picks up his pen, and begins to write out the legal directives. It renders her entirely powerless.
Mid-CTA. And hey, make sure to comment below your thoughts because I love hearing from you. And trust me, you don't want to miss the exciting part at the end of the video. It's a game changer. Stay tuned, and let's make this journey unforgettable together.
So, later that night, the story transitions to this really pivotal moment. Charles is walking with a new, unhesitating purpose straight to William's private study.
So he goes directly to his son after this massive fight.
Yeah, and he gives William the unvarnished truth. He tells him everything about Camilla's threat.
Wow. No holding back.
None. He totally strips away that protective varnish they usually apply to royal dysfunction.
So what does this all mean? Because William is seeing two very different things here, right?
Yeah, William is faced with this incredible dual reality. On one hand, he's seeing his father as a betrayed sovereign. But on the other, he sees a deeply human, flawed man reaching out to close a generational gap.
That must have been a heavy moment for William. How did he react?
Well, he doesn't just offer emotional support, he immediately becomes strategic.
Like planning the next move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He starts mapping out the next meeting. He takes control of the guest list. And then there's this rare, irreversible gesture. Charles places a hand on William's shoulder.
Oh, wow. That's huge in that family.
It is. That physical touch sealed the transfer of power before the crown even officially moved.
Which sets up this surgical second meeting. Because the contrast between that first emotional meeting and this one is just stark.
Stark is the perfect word. Camilla arrives wearing this emerald velvet ensemble, which is essentially her armor.
But the room is already stacked against her, isn't it?
Completely. She walks in only to find the seating arrangements meticulously planned to isolate her. William and Catherine are positioned closer to the king than ever before.
Just structurally shutting her out. And then Charles builds this wall of authority.
He does. He announces the detailed, irreversible roadmap for the abdication. And the whole time, he refuses to even look at Camilla.
Not even a glance.
Not once. And when Camilla tries to signal some sort of opposition, she ends up meeting William's gaze.
Oh, I bet that was chilling. What did that look say?
Well, William's look is basically that of a sovereign watching a political era in slow motion. He's completely unbothered.
And Catherine is right beside him, right?
Yes, Catherine is absolutely resolute beside him. Together, they form this impenetrable wall of generational purpose. Camilla is utterly defeated in that moment.
That is just incredible. And so that leads to the final public speech, the dawn of the new era.
Yeah, the broadcast. And Charles chooses a very understated dress for this.
Yeah.
No heavy state regalia, just a simple suit.
It's a very deliberate visual choice.
Very deliberate. He speaks of his mother's standard of service. And he points out that service means placing duty above personal preference or, personal wounds.
Which is so telling, but to me, the most deafening part of the speech was the glaring omission.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he praises William's sharp mind, he praises Catherine's steadiness, but he never, not once, mentions Camilla's name.
And in royal terms, that omission is basically shouting.
Exactly. So what does the aftermath actually look like? Like, practically speaking, where do they all go?
Well, the new reality sets in fast. Charles retreats to Highgrove, and apparently he finds this visible relief in his gardens. People say he's finally sleeping well for the first time in years.
He finally let go of the burden. What about Camilla?
She remains separated at Raymill House in Wiltshire. She attends a few select events, but there is a definitive, very noticeable coldness surrounding her.
So she's essentially isolated. And meanwhile, William and Catherine inherit the crown.
Yeah, but they inherit a much smaller, more transparent and highly scrutinized monarchy.
Right. But they carry it with an authority that feels earned through personal crucibles, not just inherited titles.
Exactly. Which leaves us with this really lingering question, right? In a modern world that grows less patient with hereditary privilege every day, is this new transparency the exact thing that will save the monarchy?
Or is it the very thing that will eventually dismantle it completely?
Right. It's fascinating to think about.
It really is. It just shows the incredible human cost of keeping these ancient institutions alive. Well, that wraps up our deep dive for today.
Don't forget to subscribe and share this with your friends who'd love this too.